What's most dangerous about this is what one Republican advisor told me after the speech was that, a lot of us were talking about how it was embarrassing, how it was out of touch, how it was selling out the Ukrainians. But he said to me, Seth, if you listen carefully, it's actually much deeper and darker. He was talking about the enemy within. This is some of the same language that Hitler used to justify the Holocaust.
It could be perhaps the most idiotic framing I have ever heard, and they keep doing it. Joining us now, journalist Matt Taibbi. Matt, again, they're back with the Hitler comparisons. I'm just scratching my head at this point.
It's kind of amazing because the context of Vice President Vance's speech was criticism of a pan-continental censorship law that is really as ambitious as anything that took place under the Nazi regime. He went there to stand up for free speech, for respecting the results of an election in Romania, for free speech rights in every European country. And for that, he gets criticized as a Hitlerian figure. It's a remarkable irony, especially when you consider that afterward we had 60 Minutes showing us these beautiful pictures of police breaking down doors in Germany to arrest people who had been writing memes and things like that.
Well, Matt, is it a failure of our education system? I tweeted over the weekend that this is just another searing indictment of our apparent lack of any real historical understanding of the world, World War II, World War I. But it's, again, I just say it's shocking, the level of ignorance on the left on this.
Well, there's two things going on, Laura. One is that there's been a dramatic shift in attitudes in the United States about whether or not forms of what they call misinformation should be outlawed. It's now over 50%, according to some surveys, which is a dramatic change even from 10 or 15 years ago, when most people on both sides of the aisle believed in the First Amendment and free speech. But also, most people in the United States have no idea about the laws that have been passed in Europe in the last 5 to 10 years, including the Digital Services Act in the EU, the Network Enforcement Act in Germany, the Online Safety Act in England, where you can be jailed for speech offenses. This is going on all over Europe, all around us, and I think most Americans are not aware of the scope of it.
No, they think we have a lot of common values with Europe, but I just did an angle, Matt, it's like, I don't really think we have much in common with Europe. I mean, we have some, we have some interesting, fun traditions that, but not really. Not on the fundamental civil liberties that we all believe in. Not really.
No, and especially on the speech issue. I mean, it was really interesting that John Kerry gave a speech to the WEF last year where he talked about the First Amendment being what he called a major block to the ability to hammer out disinformation. That's because the United States and its First Amendment is a unique concept all around the world. Here in America, speech rights do not flow from the government. They are inherent. The government simply recognizes the fact that we have freedom of thought, freedom of conscience, freedom of assembly. In Europe, the idea is very different. Rights flow from the state, and they can be granted or taken away according to how the government feels.
Matt, unbelievable. But this is why I think Trump is saying this foreign aid, endless defense of Europe, given all of this, given the huge trade deficit, it's not going to continue. I mean, they have no one to blame but themselves. Matt, as always, great to see you. Thanks so much.